For today's activity, we're going to perform experiment that shows physical versus chemical change. And the objective of this experiment is to differentiate physical from chemical change. For the materials, we're going to have the nail, a copper sulfate solution, tissue paper, 25 ml of milk, vinegar, beaker, medicine dropper, eggshell, whole egg, watch glass, cornstarch, and iodine solution. For the procedures, we will have 4 sets. For set A, place one nail on copper sulfate solution and the other on a clean sheet of tissue paper. Second, observe the nail in the copper sulfate solution and compare it on the iron nail placed on the piece of tissue paper. Compare the copper sulfate solution in the small beaker to the copper sulfate solution with the nail on it. Set B. Add 3 droplets full of vinegar to 25 ml of milk in a beaker. Observe the changes. For set C, add a dropper full of vinegar to piece of eggshell in the watch glass. Soak a whole egg into the vinegar and observe what happened to the eggshell. And for set D, place a small amount of cornstarch in the watch glass. Add small drop of iodine solution to the cornstarch powder and put a little amount of water on it. Record your observations. And after performing this activity for the gathering of data and results based on activity, the students must complete the table below. For setup A, B, C, and D, they will classify whether it is chemical change or physical change. And they have to explain why is it physical or chemical change. And next, based on the table, these students must complete the T-chart to differentiate physical from chemical change. For setup A, chemical reaction of iron nail with copper sulfate solution in water. Iron displaces copper ions from an aqueous solution of copper sulfate. It is a single displacement reaction of one metal by another metal. When iron nails are put into copper sulfate solution, the blue color of copper sulfate solution fades gradually and red-brown copper metal is formed. Iron nail is Fe and blue copper sulfate is CuSO4. When nail is kept in it, iron being more reactive than copper, it displaces copper from copper sulfate and forms ferrosulfate, which is greenish blue. And the copper displaces deposits around nails, giving it color of reddish brown. For setup B, this milk and vinegar plastic experiment is a terrific example of kitchen science, a chemical reaction between two substances to form new substance. A glue can be made from milk by souring it using vinegar, which is an acid, which separates it into curds and whey. The curds can be neutralized by various bases to produce a variety of different glues. In this experiment, students can make glue using a protein in milk called casein. They separate the casein from milk by coagulation and precipitation. Now, let us have the setup C. When you put an egg in vinegar, you will notice over time that the shell of the egg begins to disappear. The reason why this occurs is that the properties within vinegar react with the properties of the egg shell. This is known as a chemical reaction. Vinegar is an acid. Eggshells are made of calcium carbonate. If you soak an egg in vinegar, the eggshell will absorb the acid and break down or dissolve. The calcium carbonate will become carbon dioxide gas, which will go into the air. The shell of an egg, typically a chicken egg, is made up of primarily calcium carbonate. If you soak this eggshell in vinegar, which is about 4% acetic acid, you start a chemical reaction that dissolves the calcium carbonate shell. The acetic acid reacts with the calcium carbonate in the eggshell and releases carbon dioxide gas that you see as bubbles on the shell. The egg insides remain intact and are held together by the two fragile membranes just inside the shell. For setup D, using an iodine solution, you can test for the presence of starch. When starch is present, the iodine changes from brown to blue-black or purple. On adding the iodine solution to starch, the two react to produce a blue-black color. Add iodine solution to baking soda or cornstarch to introduce the idea that different substances react chemically in characteristic ways. And this is considered as chemical reaction.